Hi, welcome back to Tiny Garage Fabrication. Today's episode we're doing something a little bit different. Gonna take my 1964 Impala and see if we can't get it to start after it's been sitting for at least 23 years? I don't know, but let's find out. So this thing was absolutely buried in the weeds. It sat behind this guy's house for decades. Behind it's a 64 Bel Air that was included in the purchase, but that thing was too far gone for me to even try to save. Hooked up to my trusty 4Runner, this thing did not want to come out of the ground. Initially, all 4 brakes were seized, and I couldn't even get the drums off, so I needed to take a small sledgehammer and literally shatter the drums in order to remove them. Then I swapped on some wheels with good tires and gave it a few yanks.
Ooh, almost. Huh? Yeah. Almost. You gotta give it that, like... Alright. Last one. Woo!
I'm just trying to clean the lichens and moss off of it and get it presentable. I'd say it's fairly presentable. Looks pretty good. Looks good enough to stash next to my house for 3 years. Finally deciding to get into it. I'm going to take stock of what I've got here. Just kind of looking around, checking the condition of the wiring, seeing how much I'm going to hack up, hack off, cut out, or add. Spark plugs are super crusty. Maybe they'll work, maybe they won't. We're going to find out. Yeah, she's got some rust, but the frame's in great shape. Now this is clearly not the original engine. There's a whole bunch of things that'll tip you off to that if you're a keen observer. Now I've hooked up my power probe. I've got a link in the description for this tool. It is an amazing diagnostics tool. Now here I'm putting it on the start contact on the starter solenoid and sending some power to it. And this is the first time the motor has turned in decades. Sounds like it has good compression. So I'll pull all the spark plugs out, run the starter some more just to clean out anything that might be in the cylinders in case there's water, oil, rust, who knows. That spun over pretty good, so let's check for spark. Gonna hotwire the coil directly. I've got the spark plug laying on the exhaust manifold, spinning it over and seeing if there's any spark on the plug itself.
I've been wasting my time.
Looks like the only fire I've got is here at the battery.
And if I find a way to get it, when I do it, I can live it and forget it. How much I love you, or I hate how you just put me in my feelings. I just wish you understood the gravity, but you got low sinners.
No need for concern, it was just a bad battery cable is all it is. So I will add a second battery cable just so we can continue the testing.
Know why I can't get you out my mind. Yeah, now I'm so lost. Where do I go? I was in the chase, caught a flat on road. It was all love, X no O. I was feeling rich, but we turned out broke.
Alright, let's check for spark again. And nothing.
We grew apart fast. I guess we was reaping what we sowed in. I guess we was unequally yielding. Guess if we was putting on the shoulder. Guess we should have tried to take it slow then.
This distributor cap is really worn.
Guess I let my demon take the wheel. Used to think that we...
And the rotor looks just as bad, as well as some critter that had been living inside here.
Back in late December when I did it, I just wish I could forget it. Cause I hate how much I love it, oh I hate how I just love to catch a feeling. Yeah. And you told me that you...
This distributor is due for a mild overhaul, so we need to get parts.
I guess it's better just to live it and forget it than to live it and remember.
And throw the ignition system back together and try one more time to check for spark. And there's still nothing, so let's move on next in our fuel air spark pyramid, and let's take a look at the carburetor. It's dirty, but it doesn't look too bad overall, until I found all of this rust inside the fuel bowl. That's the fuel inlet, also the rust outlet. Yeah, no big deal. We'll still just continue to clean it, throw it back on, and see if we can send it. There's two small fuel squirters right inside these passages, and I've put some carburetor cleaner in there, and when I push on the accelerator pump diaphragm, they squirt fuel. So I've got a good feeling about this carb, despite the way it looks. Well, it's clear I need to get parts, so that's it for today. Now, I don't know if you'd believe this, but my local parts store had no parts for this. No points, no condenser, no correct spark plug wires, no cap and rotor. So I had to order everything. I'm taking out the old points and condenser, getting ready to replace those. Also swapping out the coil with a new one. Going to check continuity, make sure that I'm getting ground to my points so that they can send ground to the coil. And as the points open, they lose that ground. Coil current field collapses, sends it to the distributor, and that's what makes a spark. Now here's one for all the old heads, a matchbook. Yeah, an actual matchbook for setting the points gap. I figured some of you guys might like this. Basically, you're using the matchbook as a feeler gauge, and you adjust the points until it just starts to drag, and then it's roughly the right air gap. Let's throw a new set of wires in here, just remembering 18436572. I will check for spark again, and definitely forget that my GoPro is in the fan shroud. Whoops. Alright, the GoPro doesn't really show it, but it is sparking. Let's get some more juice on this battery and send some starting fluid in it, see what happens. Alright, a cough or backfire out of the carburetor means my timing is way off. So that's the next task. But the sun is setting. We'll come back to this next time. Setting number 1 cylinder to compression. A little puff of air lets me know it's there. Making sure we're at top dead center, and now I can pull the distributor. Try to spin the oil pump drive, which lines up with the distributor drive, so that I can get my rotor cap set to the correct orientation. And there we go, it's pointing towards the number 1 cylinder, so now I know I can time it correctly. Let's try to fire it again. Oh, there we go. Successful fire. First time in at least 20 years.
It does work. But that's cool.
In a small bottle, I'll fill the float bowl through the vent tube. Oh, she wants it. She wants to eat. Let's feed this girl. That tiny little battery just doesn't have enough juice, so throw a bigger one at it. It's kind of funny all the rust that came out of here, even just with those first small starts. throw some more fuel at it and see if we can get a good rev out of this thing. Still spitting rust, but she sounds pretty good.
Shit flying everywhere.
Now the fuel pump, the fuel lines, the fuel tank, all that stuff's a complete disaster, which is why I'm only filling it through the carburetor. Probably not going to go any farther than that. And my battery cables are starting to give out again. So,
Alright, party's over.
So there we go. The Impala starts. That old engine, it's not the original. It's definitely been pulled out of something. I can tell because 64 Impalas never came with quadrajets. That's a dead giveaway right there. Plus the guy I got it from said that he had swapped an engine in. It's allegedly a 350 from something. I don't know. And I don't really care to find out either. But I just thought it was a fun little project just to see if the thing would start after it had sat for 20, 21, 23 years. The inspection sticker on the windshield is from early 1999. That's its expiration date. So I'm assuming that the car may have ran back in 98, which would be about 22 years, give or take. So, you know, it's kind of cool. I definitely hacked it out of a whole lot of weeds. That was an adventure getting it to my house, to say the least. And then letting it sit there for about 3 years on my side driveway. The process of getting the thing going was pretty easy. Really all it took was new ignition components. So, you know, points, condenser, cap and rotor, coil, plugs, wires, and a little bit of flammable stuff down the throat, and she fired right up. Now, I didn't bother hooking up any fuel to it, like for real from the pump. A, because I didn't have any 3/8 inch hose at the house at the time, so kind of lazy there. Also, that carb is of questionable integrity. Sure, I could have grabbed that Holly right there and thrown that on with a square bore to spread bore adapter, but I don't have one of those on hand either. And I was, you know, not trying to spend a ton of money just to get this thing running, just for me to yank and throw that motor out, because a 5.3 LS is going in its place whenever I get around to building this car. If you want to see this car get bumped up the list from roughly here to really anywhere up here below the Datsun, then make sure to leave a comment, make sure to like, make sure you subscribe. If this video gets a big bump in my analytics, then maybe it'll force me to get the Impala done a lot sooner than planned. Alright, well that's it for today, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you stick around for a lot more. I'll see you next time.